And then you can look around and see, oh, Steve Mnuchin and the Federal Reserve are going to get about a $4 trillion sum of funds, is essentially the proposal. And they'll have full carte blanche with whatever they do with that. And as American taxpayers, U.S. citizens, you have absolutely no say in what's going on. And maybe you'll find out a few years later about how large it got.
Hey friends, before we begin, just a quick word from this interview's sponsor. The recent pandemic of the coronavirus is reminding us all how easy things can turn from bad to worse and have caused some panic buying. The sad part is 99% of Americans are unprepared for a catastrophic event. But this doesn't have to be you, and one of the best things you can invest in for your protection is a Patriot Survival Kit. The kit contains a compass, a cold steel tactical knife for cutting, a wire saw, water bottle clip, emergency blanket, a fire starter, flintstone, a 3-mode flashlight, a credit card knife, a tactical pen for emergency situations, mini light, carabiner, paracord bracelet, thermal blanket for retaining 90% of body heat, all in a black waterproof box. The Patriot Kit contains everything you need when there's an emergency situation like natural disasters, so get yours while supplies last at a discount. Take advantage now and give your loved ones this very special survival gift. Visit thepatriotkit.com. I'll leave the link below this interview. Hey friends, welcome back. Thank you so much for tuning in. I have a very special broadcast for you here. I have two of the insiders in the precious metals industry. I have Tyler Wall on the line and James Anderson from SD Bullion, and we're going to be talking about what's really going on in the precious metals market. But first, I want to thank everybody who's downloaded the Propaganda Antidote. You guys know this show is now available on iTunes as a podcast, and I was just contacted by Chartable via email saying, congratulations, the Propaganda Antidote is now ranked 76th on the Apple Podcasts news chart in the USA. So thanks you guys one and all for downloading this and sharing it with others that you care about. Real news 24/7 is what we commit ourselves to at SGT Report. And to that end, we're going to talk about the real economy, the $10 trillion Fed balance sheet, the $2.2 trillion stimulus package, the endless printing. What is it doing to the prices of silver and gold? Let me welcome our guests. James Anderson, how are you?
Good. How you doing, Sean?
Very well. And CEO of SD Bullion, Tyler Wall. How are you, Tyler?
Great, Sean. Thanks for having us on.
Well, thanks for coming on and thanks for shooting the brass tacks with us here. Let's get down to it because, you know, what I'm seeing over at your site, sdbullion.com, and at APMEX and everywhere else where people sell precious metals, I'm seeing $24 or $25 silver eagles, and I'm seeing $100 to $150 an ounce premiums on gold eagles. Meanwhile, the Comex paper price is nothing more than a charade, a facade. We're seeing a repeat of 2008, 2009 here, aren't we, guys?
It's a little bit different, a little bit of a twist of history, but yeah, on the silver side, it's definitely a repeat, maybe worse. On the gold side, it's getting close.
Can you explain to people, Tyler, why there is a premium on silver eagles? Why is the Comex price, I'm not even looking at it today, let's call it 15, it's probably slightly under $15 an ounce. Why is a silver eagle $10 more than that?
Yeah, it's a great question. We're getting asked that question quite a bit right now from existing customers. They may have purchased from us, say, like 3 months ago, and the prices were $225 over spot or $235 over spot, and right now maybe $8, $9, $10 over spot for a silver eagle. It's a great question. So I kind of go through the last couple of months for everybody that maybe doesn't pay attention on a daily basis, and maybe they're just looking at it like weekly or monthly basis. But demand for precious metals right now is up 300 to 700%. So this month by far is going to blow away any other sales month that we ever had in the last basically 8 years of business, and it's at least double. It's going to be probably well over that. And the encouraging thing there, for most listeners out there, there's a lot of new customers that are calling our sales and customer service line. So I'm hearing, people answering questions when I go through in the sales department, and they're asking basic questions. Never purchased gold and silver before. They are asking us for advice, or they're asking us for what products they'd pick, or asking us, just the basic questions of the fundamental questions of why somebody would want to put some of their assets in a gold and silver. So that's encouraging. Now to the premiums, it's because of supply and demand. Our market, gold, silver, platinum, is based on supply and demand. Much different than you walk into a Costco or a Kroger or a Walmart, and everybody complains, well, there's no more toilet paper here, or there's no more canned goods here. And in our market, our prices have to go up. Our acquisition of any metals, whether it be the wholesale market, has to go up to get stuff for us to be able to sell. In the grocery market, they don't increase prices. If grocery places increase prices on toilet paper or some of the other essential items, there probably would be toilet paper left on the shelf, because the hoarding people that are trying to hoard or people trying to buy it, eventually the supply and demand get close to each other at equilibrium, and there's still items on the shelf. In our space, that's kind of what you're seeing here. We cannot acquire gold, silver, anything, platinum, palladium, for anything to acquire 2 months ago when we were selling for much less over a spot. So the Royal Canadian Mint shut down production just over a week ago. They said they're going to be shut down for 2 weeks. I've learned last night that open up a little bit beforehand. They made a decision where the bullion minting operations an essential business. So I think that might come online a little bit earlier, which is going to be great for us to get our hands on more, silver maples, gold maples, that sort of thing. The U.S. Mint, they announced they're sold out of the silver eagles, gold buffaloes, and gold eagles. So there's nowhere for us to buy anymore unless we pay an absolute premium for those type of products. And so what that looks like for you guys is that we have to actually increase our prices to make some products available on our website. If we didn't, we'd be selling at a loss. And so that's quite often a misunderstanding of, especially even new customers. New customers are coming into the market, and they're wondering why they can't purchase at spot price.
Can I jump in and ask you something, though? There's an elephant in the room that needs to be addressed, and you sort of got to it a little bit there. You mentioned the paper price. Let's talk about the Comex right now, which appears to be very near a default, a force majeure. They're going to have to settle in paper. They're trying to get the LBMA to settle gold because they don't have any gold bars. Let's talk about what we've been talking about for so many years, the paper manipulation of these prices, the Comex prices. So when people go online right now to Amex or to SD Bullion or to any vendor out there, they're going to see silver priced at $14.77 an ounce. Meanwhile, you can't touch the stuff for less than $25 an ounce. Let's talk about gold. Right now, $1,662 an ounce, but gold eagles right now at SD Bullion are $1,800 an ounce. Let's just talk about the paper manipulation of these markets, because what people need to understand is if there was a huge Comex short constantly selling paper shorts on toilet paper, artificially lowering the price to $9 a pack at Costco when the market price is $18 a pack, you can bet your bottom dollar that Costco isn't going to sell it at $9 because they're losing money. They can't produce it for that. Is that oversimplifying what's going on here? Because I want people to understand you guys aren't price gouging. No. You guys are being held over a barrel by this phony Comex paper price of silver and gold.
Right. You bring up a great point. And Tuesday this week, I don't know if you saw the headlines on whether that be our website or somewhere else, but the over-counter market price of gold decoupled away from the actual Comex future price. So what that basically meant was there's so much demand right now for delivery off the Comex that the banks were basically scrambling to acquire physical metal to back the contracts. They're supposed to be deliverable on the Comex. They had to go partner with LBMA. And the one major thing that prevented potentially default was the fact that they had to change what they accept on the Comex delivery from just 100-ounce gold bars to include 400-ounce gold bars. And so that was never allowed before, but they basically referenced, due to unprecedented demand, we're going to change our rules, and we're now going to accept 400-ounce gold bars onto the exchange settlement.
Yeah, so anyone who knows anything about the CME Group or Comex and knows about the history of that exchange, whenever they get put in a pinch, they just change the rules. Like in 1980, they just changed the rules, and you couldn't go long in silver, and then they turned around and scapegoated the Hunt brothers as if they had an entire monopoly on the silver supply. And they did a really good job of scapegoating those guys, because people still think that the Hunt brothers were the ones that drove silver to 50. No, it wasn't that, because 20 other commodities were multipling in price at the same time. So we have another situation. This is very similar to fall 2008, which I worked through, and it was painful just, in terms of people coming to the market that are new who want to buy, but trying to download in their brain the saga that is the Comex versus bullion market, and how the price discovery mechanism works, and how nefarious the whole situation is. So it's difficult to explain it to brand new customers. So I can definitely empathize with Tyler and the staff there. I'm sure that they're going through a lot of troubles trying to explain how this industry works.
Yeah, and let me just explain this. I did in a video that I posted yesterday, but I'll read it again. This is from Willem Middelkoop, and he's flushing out this LBMA Comex story. Let me just read 3 paragraphs here. The London Bullion Market Association and several major banks that trade gold have asked U.S. exchange operator CME Group to allow gold bars in London to be used to settle Comex contracts to ease disruption to trading. What does that mean? It means that the Comex doesn't have the gold bars for delivery. I'm hearing somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 million ounces are standing for delivery and will need to be rolled over at the end of this period. Now let me skip down. This is really important. The LBMA and executives at major gold trading banks asked CME to allow 400-ounce bars to be used to settle Comex contracts. This is a giant problem, folks. This is a huge story. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The last line. The rule change would obviate the need to reshape and transport metal, meaning no physical delivery, meaning it could remain in the vaults in London while ownership is transferred. If this happened, spot and future prices could then again converge. Do you see the problem, guys? They don't want to deliver the 400-ounce bars. They just want to hypothecate and rehypothecate and transfer ownership via paper. This is exactly how we got into this mess in the first place, guys.
Yeah, so this is a new contract, and there was really nobody in the world asking for a new derivative contract. We've got enough derivative contracts, okay? So this is just a PR pump, essentially, for the CME Group. And people who really want to go rabbit hole deep on this, I mean, it's complex, but underneath it all, the CME Group actively encourages and incentivizes foreign central banks to get high volume trading discounts on their exchanges. And those foreign central banks don't necessarily have trading desks themselves. They may have proxy trading desks. And so you're talking about to the highest level of price control mechanisms. That's essentially what we're talking about. It goes all the way to the top.
Sorry, I was muted there.
It's no problem.
Look, the real reason I wanted to have this conversation with you guys is I want people to understand, and I know most of our listeners do, if the Comex paper didn't exist, we would not be seeing a spot price of silver at 14. The market would be setting the price, which it is in the physical market. A silver eagle is 23, 24, 25 bucks an ounce. So we're already seeing it. People said for so long, when are we going to see the price of silver break higher? Well, you are now on the back of a $2 trillion stimulus package, endless Fed printing. In their own words, endless, no limit to the printing now. They're talking about raising their balance sheet to $10 trillion. Sooner or later, it'll go beyond that. This is Mad Max. This is Venezuelan-style stimulus, folks. And that's why people want the physical.
It's predictable, though. Anytime you set up a matrix of artificial pricing, what you end up doing is starving out the real people who create the products, right? And so that's what's happened in this industry. The last 4 or 5 years, you had consolidation and the extreme starving out of the entire top to bottom mining sector, all the way down to the mints, to the retailers who sell to customers. So you starve it out, and then all of a sudden you 5x demand, and of course it's not going to be able to meet that demand. And so this is a situation you get caught in. And these shortages are an end result of artificial price discovery. That's ultimately what this is.
Well, that's right. And people are going to be getting checks from the Fed. Families, look, this is helicopter money. Yeah. This is worst case scenario. Like, I'm reminding myself of Peter Schiff right now, who's been lamenting this for so long. And now here we are. The chickens are coming home to roost. I want to read this from Roy Sabag. He's the founder of Gold Money, I believe, and Manet, the gold jewelry investment company. He says, I've received some important information relating to what's going on in gold markets. Today, some banks failed to deliver physical in the Comex bar EFP. As a result, these banks suffered large losses, which will soon be announced. They've also decided to exit the Comex market. Now, this is from March 24th. The second post in this thread. Now there remains a big shortage in physical in the Comex denomination, so rumors are the Comex will announce a force majeure and allow banks to deliver LBMA bars instead. This should be announced imminently. Then, of course, Willem Middelkoop weighed in with that additional information, and we'll round it out with Dave Kranzler saying, what's amusing about this move is that the Comex EFP PNT transactions have been shifting Comex physical shortfalls over the LBMA for quite some time. The volume of EFP PNT transactions have soared in the last 3 weeks. It just seems to me that there's a run on physical, guys, and sooner or later, the LBMA is not going to be able to fill the hole, are they? Are they going to be able to fill this Comex hole so business can just go on like this in perpetuity?
So just so listeners out there understand what really set this off a couple of days ago is that you had almost half of the entire gold refining capacity in the world say that they had to shut down because they're located on the northern edge of Italy. That's really what set this off. The divergence between the Comex futures price and the over-the-counter, I want to buy physical gold in London price. And the I want to buy physical gold in London price is being managed by people who aren't even at their trading desks. So they're having real difficulty. And I think the people who actually have the gold are looking around and thinking about the potentiality of a divergence of price for the coming years and thinking, I don't necessarily want to sell my gold at these prices. Maybe not. And Comex is probably the same situation. That Roy Seabag, I exchanged an engagement with him today on Twitter, and he's basically talking about, I suggested, you go, there's registered gold at Comex, you got 50 tons. Why don't you go, take demand delivery from those people? And he's saying that they're not willing to sell at these prices. So we're at a situation right now where, the price market equilibrium is just completely out of flux, even for large gold bars of 100 ounce or 400 ounce.
So Tyler, you were saying that you guys are seeing a lot of new customers. Does that speak to the nature of people's fear and people starting to recognize that what the Fed is doing is an absolute threat to our way of life, in your view? Because most people, my friends, neighbors, and colleagues, most don't own any physical silver or gold. Are people finally starting to wake up to the threat of unlimited printing?
Yeah, I think for the last 8 years, I can tell you that new customers over the last 2 months have been incredible, like a percentage of our overall business. So, I mean, to me, that tells you that there's definitely new customers that are, basically starting to listen to what they hear. I think we, whether it be Sargent Report or some of the alternative media space, I think we've been talking about it for a long time, and a lot of people may have, read about it somewhere or somewhere online. But I feel like over the last 2 months specifically, they're saying, that sounds like a good idea. Everything I've heard over the last, whether it be a decade, you look at what gold price has done since over the last 20 years, and you compare it to the Dow. I was listening to Peter Schiff the other day, actually. He's comparing about the Dow to gold ratio and how the Dow's been in a bear market for the last 20 years. And I think that's a great point. Like if you look at the Dow to the gold ratio back in 1999, you compare it to where we are today. The stock market's been going up, but most of it's been going up. It's artificial inflation. It's artificial pumping of money. And now's, in my opinion, is going to continue. They're going to do it even more. I mean, the gold price is going to go up more. Like maybe the stock market does go up. Maybe it doesn't go down to. It's not going to go down to zero when you're printing money. The Dow might go up. The stock market might go up, but it's not going to go up the same amount, in my opinion, as the price of precious metals. And I'm a precious metals guy. That's why we started this business. It wasn't because I wasn't interested in precious metals or I just want to start a business. So for me, it's one of those things where it's kind of in my blood. It's been in blood since we started this business that precious metals do hold value. They may not return money like say a business creates money. It's a store of value. It's a store of value. It's a store of purchasing power. And a lot of those new customers are coming on the line asking those questions. And they're saying, you know what? I have a lot of money in my retirement account. I have a lot of money in my 401k. Yeah, it's gone down with the stock market. But I just want to. I don't need to make money off stocks. I need to take a percentage of my portfolio, and I just want to preserve purchasing power so that when I retire in 5 years from now, that in 10 to 15 years after that, I want to be able to buy the same amount of stuff that I can buy right now, today. And when you have a Federal Reserve saying, we're going to print and we're going to buy as much of anything, how could you leave your money in dollars, and how could you leave your money and even in stocks, when you don't even know what businesses are going to be around after we get through this period of record unemployment and however many businesses that are going to be shutting down.
Well, and that concerns me. And I want to read a tweet here. This is a direct message, actually, from my friend Lewis at Small Gold. Just today, fresh off the presses an hour ago. He writes, why is anyone surprised that 3.3 million filed for U.S. jobless claims? Never before has the government intentionally shut off the economy for any reason. What no one could see coming wasn't a virus, but a manufactured black swan. James, I would really like to get your thoughts on this. I don't even know where it is now. Is it a $2.2 trillion stimulus package? Because I did a video yesterday called basically The Great American Looting, because only $350 billion of that number is for small businesses. Now, who's been impacted with this shutdown? Small businesses, restaurants, bars, bowling alleys, movie theaters. But who wants the bailouts? Boeing? After buying back their stock for a decade and destroying their company? I am absolutely morally outraged about this stimulus package, and buried in it is a bunch of other crap too. I think the ADL wants money. All sorts of special interests are going to get money, and only a fraction of the $2.2 trillion is for small businesses.
Yeah, it's tough, Sean. I mean, my brain almost shut down like out of anger when I saw it. Like, it's hard to even think clearly sometimes. But if I took a deep breath for a day or two and went and looked at it. I'll probably do a video on it this Friday on SD Bullion's YouTube channel. But I looked at it yesterday and again, almost blacked out looking at it. It's like you saw what happened in 2008 with, they dragged out intern at Goldman, Cash Carey, who basically wrote in on the coattails of Hank Paulson. And they were dropping the $700 billion TARP number in front of everybody. And then about 2 or 3 years later, we had a partial audit of the Federal Reserve and came to find out after full accounting of all the loans and backstops that the bailout was $29 trillion in total. So from $700 billion to $29 trillion, that's a 41x. If we go from what they're talking about now, which is $6 trillion, to a 41x, that essentially backstops the entire global debt supply, which is roughly $250 trillion. So the Federal Reserve is essentially saying we will backstop everything and have faith in our fiat Federal Reserve note. and I, for one, I'm happy that it's been stronger versus other fiat currencies out there in the last 4 or 5 years, because a lot of us, we get paid in those fiat Fed notes, those dollar bills. But I don't think that's what's going to be the future. I think that they're going to have to devalue that currency because of all the promises they've made and not saved for. And so I think that's where we're headed. It's as much as it's very painful to see the amount of starving out of Main Street, and then turning around and giving Main Street crumbles and crumbs and saying now you can have e-dollar or Fed coin as your welfare check. You can't even go out in the street and protest it because of the situation with the virus. You can protest online in a very quiet manner. And then you can look around and see, Steve Mnuchin and the Federal Reserve are going to get about a $4 trillion sum of funds is essentially the proposal. And they'll have full carte blanche with whatever they do with that. And as American taxpayers, U.S. citizens, you have absolutely no say in what's going on. And maybe you'll find out a few years later about how large it got.
It's very troubling. I continue to see so many videos from channels out there that I like saying the patriots are in control, right? This is all going according to plan. Meanwhile, we're being looted. They're going to destroy our purchasing power. There's a lot more to the story here, folks, than the patriots are in control. And I definitely believe our president is a patriot. But I think the forces of evil have been aligned against him since day one. It's quantifiable. And I want to give you another example of that. I mentioned this also in my recent video. So hydroxychloroquine is being used with great success in treating people with coronavirus. There's a doctor out of New York who just gave a 3-minute video testimony to the president saying he's personally helped recover 350 people, 100% success rate using hydroxychloroquine and zinc. All right, so that's good news. So why, if what I just stated, if my thesis is incorrect, if the enemies of humanity aren't aligned against this president and we the people, then you explain to me, guys, why Steve Sisolak, the Democrat governor of Nevada, and Cuomo, the Democrat governor of New York, are banning the use of hydroxychloroquine in treating coronavirus patients. Can you think of anything more treacherous than that?
I'll let Tyler speak to that. Tyler, you're the pharmacist here. Let's hear what you have to say.
Well, before I put Tyler on the spot, Tyler, let me remind you that this president signed into law, the use of experimental treatments in terminal patients, a very common sense approach. If you're going to die, hey, I'll take something that's not FDA approved if it might help me. So the guy's got a common sense approach to this stuff. He says hydroxychloroquine is worth exploring, and you've got 2 Democrat governors of states saying, nope, we're banning it.
Well, it is an interesting predicament, like James did outline. I am a licensed pharmacist. I haven't been in practice for over 5 years since this, with SD Bullion being CEO. But one of the things, it sounds pretty scandalous. I've also, I referenced back in pharmacy school, let's talk about colloidal silver. And for me, when I heard all this stuff going on in 2 months ago, what we did as a company, we ordered in silver biotics or colloidal silver just to have it on hand, because I knew it was going to go to shortage, which is this. It's on back order right now. But one of the uses for colloidal silver, it's off label, and I'm not recommending it on with my license on the line, but colloidal silver nebulized. So like colloidal silver through a nebulizer, which you probably can't find any nebulizers right now. You had to buy them in advance. There's no known antibiotic resistance to silver. So we have 8 cases of colloidal silver, if we need it, sitting in our fulfillment warehouse, and we ordered in for prophylactic purposes. I saw what was coming, and hydroxychloroquine's kind of surprised me a little bit. If it is effective, I know what happened last time when we had we had to use Tamiflu breakout, and we started bringing. It's going to go into shortage too. I can't imagine there's enough high hydroxychloroquine out there to knock it down. Maybe it'd help us out a little bit. With Tamiflu situation, we had to bring that up because of the last. I'm drawing a blank on what actually resulted in us having to use Tamiflu, but it was on a shortage in the pharmacy, and we started bringing out. The federal government okayed us to bring back Tamiflu. I think it was 5 or 6 years expired. They had this. Must have been storing it in the warehouse, so we can't sell anything that's expired in the pharmacy. But all of a sudden, Tamiflu was a known good treatment for something, and we decided that we're going to go out. The government okayed us to acquire Tamiflu that's 5 years expired. I'm not sure if hydroxychloroquine is the answer. It is pretty scandalous that if it was the answer and you had that sort of success rate at a local office, that we don't seriously experiment a little bit more. It is a generic drug. That's another thing that's interesting, because you know how big pharma likes to have their hands in this, and they like to make a lot of money, and generic drugs typically aren't very profitable for them. But yeah, there's got to be more to this story about why are they not breaking out hydroxychloroquine, or why are they not doing more studies, and why would anybody ban it if they don't know something that I haven't seen, which is hydroxychloroquine is not effective. I haven't read anything that's saying otherwise.
Yeah. Well, the Nevada governor, get this, his quote was, "There's no consensus among doctors that it's effective." No consensus. What, is he a doctor? Is he a medical professional?
Well, that's what they told us.
Is he the Surgeon General?
That's what they told us in pharmacy school about natural medicines like colloidal silver. We got out of our basically 8 years of schooling, we got I think it was a 2-week period that we studied natural medicine. And every time we studied natural medicine, the brainwashing always was the same. It said, well, it could be effective, but not enough evidence. Could be effective, but not enough evidence. And there's not enough money out there for anybody to do any studies. And so that was, at 8 years, we had 2 weeks of natural medicine. It sounds very similar to what this is going to turn into. You have a generic drug. It's not going to be that profitable for anybody. Let's have big pharma find a way to make more money out of this.
Well, see, here's I hear you. But what's so enraging about that behavior from those 2 governors is the fact that this is evidently the biggest cataclysm to ever hit our nation. It's bringing the economy to its knees, and we're giving blank checks to the Fed. We're giving up everything that makes us strong as a country in the name of fighting the coronavirus, which is devastating our nation, we're told. And these guys are going to ban a potential treatment for it? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I mean, I've never seen it so out in the open, this battle between essentially good and evil. And it's a blanket statement, but the Democrats, for the most part, are completely and totally evil and aligned against. And I cannot give the Republicans a pass either, because there's so much crap embedded in this stimulus package. I guess at the end of the day, James, we have the right to be outraged. I've been warning people about what I'm calling a power grab. The DOJ wants the right to indefinitely detain people without the writ of habeas corpus, without trial, to fight coronavirus. If they get these powers, do you think they're going to give them back? I better read this tweet from our friend Joe M. Because here it comes, folks. Alert, habeas corpus, the legal procedure that keeps the government from holding detainees indefinitely without showing cause, has been suspended. You are presently witnessing the largest mass treason event in living history, with crimes by high-profile figures as follows: treason, misprision of treason, rebellion, insurrection, seditious conspiracy, and so forth. Now that comes from our friend Joe M. So I don't know if the Patriots are in control, if this is what's happening to our country right now. I guess I'll give you the final word, James, and then we can say goodbye to Tyler as well.
Yeah, look, I mean, we're getting hit at all fronts, and you have to look, I guess, at what you possibly can do yourself to take care of your family. And I think that's where you have control is the first thing you need to focus on. I mean, we can sit here and get blue in the face yelling about the potentiality of the Federal Reserve and their friends stealing the copper out of the house or going for the kitchen sink. But really what you have control over is your own actions and your own mind. So we need to stay focused there and not get super emotional or caught up in a lot of the mistakes that our leaders are making. And then also, I don't have much confidence in our leaders at the moment, I'm sorry to say. And so what I do have confidence is my own ability to reason and to think through what has always proven, good for us in terms of our constitutional founding fathers and how was this country founded on? And it was founded on honest weights and measures. And that's why, we've been so stout, myself and Tyler and Sean, you have too, for a decade plus talking about, precious metals and having a prudent position. And so I just, obviously bullion is important, but also everything else, just taking care of your family and your community and thinking in a proper manner and doing as much as you can on a personal level.
Hey, Tyler, can you tell people what's in stock right now? What can people get if they need it? And I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for your sponsorship over at SGT Report. You guys have been a sponsor of Real News 24/7 for a very long time. So I want to thank you guys for that. And it just seems right now things are super hard to get. So what are you seeing the most demand for? Everything across the board? And what are delivery times looking like?
Yeah, we're seeing seeing demand for anything we actually have available for sale. So right now we're advising customers give us at least 15 days for shipping. Like even if we actually have the item in stock, it's taking that long. We have so many orders. We're adding a night shift starting on Sunday this week. We're going to hopefully increase and decrease the processing time, but yeah, I mean, Silver Eagles, Gold Eagles, we're still able to we're still taking some orders on those. I believe we have a large shipment of 2020 Silver Eagles either arriving today or yesterday, I believe. So I think those are 2020 Eagles, Gold Eagles, 2020 Gold Eagles. We just got some of those, but I'm not exactly sure how much more we're going to get from the U.S. Mint. We did get some this week, but it doesn't sound like we're going to get very many moving forward. So those are probably the two top products that we have in stock. There's very little platinum. 1 ounce platinum bars are pretty much all offline because of the refiners overseas. Besides that, we have some silver bars still available. So there's only a few products on our website. Normally we're stocked like 500, 700 products. We're probably down to about 50. It's just unbelievable demand that's basically wiped out everything that we have available for sale.
All right. Well, I just want to say this as we part ways. The critters in the state in which I live, the demonic Democrats in control of the state in which I live, have passed a tax on silver and gold. Now, previous to this year, I could buy all the silver and gold I wanted and just exchange my fiat for the precious metal and not be down 6.5%. These cockroaches have passed a sales tax. So now if I want to get out of fiat and into real money, I'm down 6.5% on the purchase right out of the gate. It's absolutely out of control. We are under a multi-pronged attack in this country. And anybody that thinks it's fear-mongering to say a $2.2 trillion stimulus package with only $350 billion going to the small businesses that have been decimated, if you think that's fear-mongering, this channel's no longer for you. So I got to get that out of my system because I've had it. We are under a multi-pronged attack, and honest money and honest economics is our only escape, and I don't know that we're going to get back to it anytime soon. Our guests have been James Anderson and Tyler Wall from SD Bullion. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean.
All right. And guys, thank you so much for your support. I'll remind you that for real news 24/7, you guys can visit us directly at sgtreport.com, the corporate propaganda antidote, and catch the podcast too. It's only a week and a half old and it's already number 76 in the news category in the USA. Thanks, guys. We love you. Bye-bye.
We don't have a system that's working. We have one that basically moves cash around. And we can guarantee cash benefits as far out and at whatever size you like, but we cannot guarantee their purchasing power.